Hello everybody, this is Cockpit Games, and welcome to another devblog review from Crossout. And today we're going to review the Firestarters Block 2. And with this comes some news that is just going to change the game entirely, and just overall the meta, it will drastically shift. And it's not any of the parts that were added, but the actual balance changes that are shown by the armor here. Because the first thing that there's noted is to change the structural parts. And they mentioned that they are lowering the power score of literally every armor part in the game. And they also should gonna change the mass to health ratios. They want to reduce the armor of the lighter parts and up the ones on the higher structure parts. So basically, scavenger armors will get a slight buff, and lunatic armor slight nerf. That's kind of because at high tier, a lot of players are using the lunatic armor, or at least nomads or downtrodden, or in this case, Firestarters armor, because at some point you're gonna hit that mass limit, and if you got 80 parts to work with, you can better have two parts that have 100 health but like 50 kilograms than have one part that is 100 health but 100 kilograms. So they're kind of addressing that. So the main effect that this has is that mid-grade vehicles, so like with medium amount of armor, will actually have a lower power score, and tanks with a high amount of armor will have an even lower power score. So tanks and more armor builds will be getting slightly more viable. So this is finally some love for armor, which is a really good thing because glass cannons were getting a little bit out of control, really. Like the one that I showed with the tiny little tsunami trike, like stuff like that will now have to fight tougher opponents with more armor. So now you can also afford to like at low tier to put on more armor on that quad short build, which is also pretty nice because like with the short builds, a lot of new players have a tendency to add too much armor, try to get the build as close to that part limit as possible, and they will often end up at a higher power score facing tougher enemies, and sometimes they will rage quit because they face too tough enemies. Now we got a few new things. So first off, the Bigfoot wheels, Bigfoot and Bigfoot steering. They are epic rarity, power score 225, carrying capacity of 2.25 thousand kilograms on the non-steering, and 500 kilograms on steering, and that's actually a lot of carrying weight. If I'm not mistaken, that's actually more than large wheels. And if I'm also not mistaken, these are about the size of large wheels. So they're just like upgraded version of large wheels, and that's pretty nice. They also have a decent weight and a pretty good durability of almost 500 points. And they actually have a perk as well. It's not shown here, but according to dev server intel, these things are actually have like a reduction in distance traveled based perks. So basically, for example, the cheetah. Let's say it has one. I don't know the actual number out of my head, but let's say it needs 100 meters to actually have the effect of the 20% less cooldown. When having these wheels on there and using these wheels to drive around, it will become 50 meters, so it will trigger twice as often. It will not, like, the effect won't increase, so it will still be 20% cooldown, but it will just trigger every 50 meters. Now, I'm not sure if this will also count for, like, let's say you connect it onto something with the meat grinders, hovers, or lags, and then it will still trigger. I hope that's not the case, because that will get hovers with cheetahs out of hand, really. Because those will move around so much anyways, like, they will trigger it pretty often, and will just go over the top. And next is the Oppressor Engine, and I'm liking this thing quite a lot. It's the new Reloads class engine for light builds. So, of course, you can only install one per engine per vehicle. It's an epic rarity engine, 310 power score, That's it plus 3000 tonnage, just like the Cheetah, and 1000 kilogram mass weight limit. It's not bad, but sometimes you want more, really. Plus 17 max speed, but 30% more power. That's kind of balanced. It's not that great. It's only giving 70% max speed. I would rather have more speed and power because I don't really need that much more power most of the case. And also gives some strength points so you can add more wheels. Of course, uses one power as most epic engines, or well, engines in general just do. 500 kilogram weight. And its unique feature, as I mentioned, is a reload class. So it can vehicle speed increases the speed of reloading of guns and missiles. So 0% at 0 kilometers an hour and 30% at 80 kilometers an hour. So if you want to get this effect, you need to stay on the move. So sniper builds won't work with this engine. Probably junk bows will benefit the most of this thing, because or like wasp or crickets maybe. So like burst and then run away and recharge faster and turn around and just burst again and then run away again. Kind of. And here's one of the things I like the most with the update. Well, as like looks wise, it's probably the favorite new thing for me to be added. Like you can see this here as well. The brand new Phoenix Crossbow. Another epic part. Decent power score, like just the 5 energy default power score, because if you guys didn't notice it already, all weapons with 5 energy have the same power score. Just like for weapons, all power score is rated like energy multiplied by its rarity modifier, and this is for 5 is 1175. So 341 points of structure, decent. Not as great as a cannon, but it does the trick. It's pretty heavy at a 1000 kilogram mass. Has 18 rounds, and it basically shoots sticky grenades that explode after a small while, which is kind of interesting. And I hope they will still explode if the part that it's connected to is shut off. But you can literally like shoot a wall when getting chased, and then it will explode in the face of the opponent, and that is kind of interesting. I hope it has a big explosion radius, but I don't think it will have that much of a big explosion radius, sadly. But on to the Catapult Ashbringer. It's a mini Mandrake, really. Epic rarity, 1410 power score at 6 power presumption. 423 points, at least it's tough. 500 kilograms of weight, decent. 10 volleys, but it's a pretty slow reload, so you don't really need that much ammo packs for this one. And it has a unique feature on here on the chart, leaves a proof ignited combustible mixture in the explosion site, which damage all targets, so basically the same as Mandrake and Porcupine. But on the test server, it also had the same effect as the Aurora. So now it's kind of the question if they keep the Aurora perk on this thing or not. If they do, it'll be a substantially better weapon, because having the Aurora perk and heating up players and having them increase damage, like it makes it a way better area denial weapon than the other two could ever be. And also in the next block, they will tell you about new Cockpit and Firestarter weapons. The Firestarter weapons mentioned will probably be... Oh, by the way, typo. Nice. But the weapons mentioned are probably going to be the last legendary weapons and maybe like some rare stuff. And the Cockpit has actually been confirmed. It's the classified werewolf cabin, according to like translation from the Russian version, where it actually has a name already. And it's a 13 energy cabin with 8,000 mass limit, 4,000 tonnage, and 13 energy. That kind of means like you can have 17 energy bolts. However, because the low mass limit, if you add a Apollo, you are getting quite a lot of mass on that thing, and you only have 8,000 mass limit, so that's not much. So you might see some of them, but you won't be using any heavy weapons on that. So you might be using crickets or hammerfalls, or like similar 5 energy weapons, but you will not be using anything heavy on that. So yeah, like the meta will shift towards heavier builds now with the increase of power score, which is a really nice thing. And I really like to see what these things will have the effect on the overall actual like meta with the wheels and the new guns and of course engine. I am kind of worried about possible like junk bow builds with this engine and the increased like energy. You might be able to like run four of those things and one of these engines. You have 1,000 kilograms extra mass, or you might actually have to run a Colossus for the much higher weight limit increase. But either way, you will have a pretty fast reloading shotgun setup for high power score. So that's also a really thing to watch out. And I'm also looking at crossbows with increased reload as well. Those will be exciting to like rapidly machine gun people with high knockback crossbows. But yeah, that's really it, guys. Please share your thoughts in the comments as always. I am definitely gonna instantly experiment with this stuff. So, already in contact with the guys from the that are dealing with the promotional accounts. So I am like confident I will have like in the first 2 days I will have my parts and I will be right ready to actually sum up all the stats, all the changes, and whatever, and see what actually like how effective stuff will be. But that's it. I am the Games, and I'll see you guys all later. Bye, guys.